Lost love can be such a tricky bitch. I know for a lot of people, when it comes to manifesting their ex, it can be a wild, turbulent ride with a lot of hot and cold and a little bit of a mixed bag for results. Manifesting an ex or somebody that you have some history with is something that I get approached with all of the time. This is one of the most common manifestation inquiries that I get. So I figured I'd make a video all about it. So if you are one of those people who are trying to manifest a long lost lover or an ex of some sort, then definitely stick around to the end of this video, because I'm going to give you everything that you need to know and everything that you will need to implement in order to get your specific person back. What is up, you guys? I am Missy Renee, and on this channel we talk about manifesting. We talk about everything manifesting. We talk about how to do it, how to properly apply it so that you can get your sweetie back. So I've already made a video that goes into detail about how to manifest a specific person. And for those of you who are interested, if you want to check out that video, then I will link that video up here. I will also link it down in the description box below. I decided to make this video for those of you who specifically are trying to manifest back somebody who you have a history with, somebody that you've dated before, somebody that you have already been intimate with, you've already been in a relationship with, because there are a few more layers to this type of situation. So I wanted to make something that's a little bit more in-depth than my previous video. Now, for starters, the million-dollar question that I always get is it possible to manifest your ex back? Is it possible to manifest specific people? And in short, yes, it is absolutely possible. You can do anything that you want. There is nothing that is off limits here. And that includes lovers and friends and you name it. But right off the bat, I want to make it very clear that yes, you can absolutely manifest a specific person. You can manifest an ex. Doesn't really matter. And this is such a hot take in the manifestation community. A lot of people struggle with manifesting an ex or a specific person. So before we dive into exactly how to manifest your ex back, we need to go into the reasons why a lot of people struggle in the first place, so you can be sure that you are not making any critical missteps and that you avoid any pitfalls or anything that is going to delay your manifestation or uproot it entirely. I have had countless people come to me in frustration and ready to pull their hair out because they have been trying to manifest this person for weeks or months or sometimes even years. Yeah, years. And the truth is, it does not need to be as difficult as it seems. It does not need to be difficult at all. The reason it is such a struggle for people to manifest an ex is because of the history and the old stories associated with that person. And we all have this to some degree. And especially with somebody that you have a history with, there can be many stories and many memories that are especially painful. And this right here, these memories and the stories are 100% the culprit. And the more stories and the more memories that we have, the more difficult it can be when we are trying to manifest. And to understand why this is, it's important to understand exactly how we manifest. We manifest through impressions onto the subconscious mind. And specifically, it is your beliefs and assumptions, your reactions, your expectations that become impressed onto the subconscious, which then takes those beliefs, assumptions, reactions, and will refract it into your outside world for you to experience. This is how you manifest in a nutshell. You have always been doing this. You always will be doing this. It is not something that you will ever just stop doing or won't be doing. Every moment to moment of your day, of your life, you are constantly manifesting. And it is through those beliefs, those assumptions, and those reactions that get impressed onto the subconscious, which gives you those again as an experience. So when you have a history with somebody and there is a lot of memories and there is a lot of story, there's a lot of history that may be both good and bad, this can make it especially difficult, because essentially what happens with most people is when you recall something, when you have a memory that pops up and you react to said memory, what will happen is that memory gets impressed onto the subconscious and you will relive that memory. This is how we get stuck in patterns. This is how we get stuck in cycles. Whether you're consciously aware of it or not, you are constantly feeding into your subconscious those beliefs, reactions, and assumptions. When it comes to other people, this is where it can be tricky, because if you keep dwelling on the negative aspects, if you keep telling yourself things that are less than ideal, if you keep hashing out painful memories, then unfortunately, that's what you're going to keep experiencing. And to take it even further, if we are perpetually doing this, if we are perpetually feeding ourselves these negative experiences, these old memories, and things that are not ideal, that forms into a habit, which could make it even more difficult to break. A habit is a belief that's been formed through repetition. That's all it is. But as most of us know, habits can be very difficult to break if you're not careful. And I've had people come to me time and time again with this issue. A lot of times people come to me wanting to try to manifest a specific person, and most of the time it's an ex or an old lover. Every single time, without fail, when I start talking to them and when I am trying to get to the root of what their issue is, when they're having trouble manifesting, it's because they are playing out these negative tapes, these negative memories. They are sometimes not even consciously aware that they're doing it. But the more that you feed all of that old garbage, all of the old stories, all of the terrible memories into your subconscious, the more that that's going to keep playing out. Step number one, when trying to manifest an ex back, you need to be hyper aware of the thoughts that are going through your mind throughout the day. This is where mental diet can be super, super critical. Regardless of whatever you're trying to do, I always suggest for anybody who's new to manifesting, first thing is start with self-observation. This is key because you want to be able to have a clear understanding, a non-subjective, critical look at what's going on through your mind throughout the day. So if you are one of those people that finds that you keep having these negative thoughts come up, if you keep playing out those terrible memories of that bad breakup or the terrible things he or she said to you, all the fights that you had, then this is something that you're going to want to nip in the bud immediately, because again, those will just wind up repeating themselves. And to break it down even further, let's talk about what a memory is for a second. A memory is a mental scene that you've constructed in your mind that evokes a certain reaction out of you, right? A memory is an event that you are playing in your mind of something that happened to you that causes you to experience some kind of emotion or reaction. And the reason it's so important to mention this is because memories bottom line, are just imaginal acts. It's the same thing as an imaginal act that you use when in the state akin to sleep, when you are trying to manifest something. Your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between the two. So if you note that throughout the day, you are constantly having negative thoughts, you are constantly having bad memories conjured up, if you are dwelling on all of the bad things that happened, on all of the sad things that happened, then unfortunately, it's just going to keep perpetuating. If you keep acknowledging that your ex is an asshole, if you keep acknowledging that they're with that third party, if you keep acknowledging that they no longer love you, if you keep telling yourself and playing out all of these heartbreaking things, then it's just going to perpetuate itself, because your past never just stays in the past. Your past is constantly going forward into your future as you impress and react to it. And this is why it is so difficult for people to manifest an ex back. This is one of the biggest hang-ups that people have when they're trying to manifest anything. Those old stories, it is those old memories, all of that old garbage that is going to keep you from being able to successfully manifest your specific person or your ex. Okay, that said, how do we get our ex back? How can we manifest an ex-lover or somebody from our past back into our lives? There are 2 steps going forward that I want each of you to take. If you're watching this because you are trying to manifest an ex or an old lover, take note, because this will help you immensely going forward. The first thing that you're going to want to do after you have done the self-observation, after you have taken a moment to take note of the inventory upstairs, so to speak, once you have been able to determine the things that are going through your mind, it's going to be a lot easier for you to go into these next steps. The first thing I want you to do after you have done the self-observation is make a list of all of those negative tapes and negative stories. Anything that was a bad event, anything that keeps popping up, anything that keeps you reacting negatively, I want you to jot these down. And I know this sounds counterintuitive, but the reason for this is because you are going to take these memories and you're going to revise them. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with revision, I have made a video talking about this incredible technique that, guys, this is an important one. You absolutely want to have this in your arsenal. But if you haven't heard of this before, and if you haven't seen my video that I made, I will link that video up here and also down in the description box below. You're going to write out these negative thoughts, these memories, any sort of negative dialogue that keeps coming up. Whatever it is that is not your ideal, I need you to write it down and you're going to revise them. And I know this sounds tedious, but trust when I say that this is such an imperative step. Because basically what you do with revision is you are altering a past memory or event, and you are playing in your mind, in your imagination, the scenario that you would have rather experienced instead. So instead of that nasty fight, you would revise that scenario to where there was either no fight at all, or that fight came to a peaceful resolution and you were able to let it go. This part is so important because the goal with revision is to get rid of these negative patterns, these negative habits, these negative stories. You are trying to get that slate completely wiped clean to the best of your ability. And what you will find is through revision, those events and those memories are going to play out based on whatever you impress. So if you start revising those bad memories and turn them into good memories, you'll find that scenarios to this present day are going to play off of your revised good memories versus the old bad ones. And I know it sounds a bit crazy and a bit sci-fi, but again, put this one to the test because it is an absolute game changer. And the reason that we do this, the reason that we revise our past negative memories and associations with this person is if you don't, and if you were to just use your imagination and construct an imaginal scene to get your person back, though this may work, and in fact it likely would work if you were to just jump right into imagining you and your specific person or your ex back, and if you successfully impress an imaginal scene with you and your ex together, then you will in fact manifest that. You will in fact have that become your experience. But if you do not revise any of that old negative crap, you are likely going to find those same scenarios playing out again. And you may wind up going through that nasty breakup again. I speak from personal experience on this one, along with hundreds of other people that I've spoken to. You want to get rid of any of those old seeds that are planting. Every memory, every subconscious impression is like planting a seed. Some are good, some are bad, some are indifferent, but they're all going to grow and come to fruition. So unless you want those old stories, those bad memories to keep playing out, even if you successfully were to get your ex back, you don't want to go through that vicious cycle again. So this is where revision is so key and so important, especially with anybody that you have a long history with, and especially anyone where that history may not be 100% great all the time. Take those old memories, revise them, as many as you can to the best of your ability, especially any big ones that stand out. Take that scene into your imagination and imagine the scenario that playing out in a way that you would have rather experienced. So instead of that fight, there was no fight. Instead of that nasty breakup, there was no nasty breakup. When they called you all those terrible things, imagine them saying wonderful things to you instead. There's many different ways to go about revision. There is no wrong way to do it. Just make sure that whatever it is that is not ideal, anything that pops up that you no longer want to associate with or you want to experience, revise it. And you will find, once you've begun revising these unwanted memories and these terrible past events, is they will no longer keep popping back up to haunt you. You're going to have a peace and a fulfillment that comes with those no longer being attached to you. So once you have revised everything that you feel you no longer want to be there, you no longer want to experience, you no longer want to associate with, once you have revised all of those memories and events, that brings you to the third and final step. And that is the same thing that you do with anything else that you were trying to manifest. Use your imagination. Step 3 is to construct a mental scene that implies that you have the thing that you want, or that you are with the person that you want. Now, for most people, when it pertains to love, when it pertains to romance, this scene is typically marriage or a long-term committed relationship. Whatever the case, construct a quick scene, no more than like 10 seconds, that implies that you and whoever it is that you're trying to manifest is in fact married. So an example could be that if you were married, you would be wearing a wedding ring. So your scene could be you and your person walking along the beach, or having breakfast in the morning, or lying in bed, whatever. Go nuts. In that scene, you are looking with your imaginal sight at your wedding ring, and you are noticing your person also has a wedding ring. And to cement things further, you can construct a quick dialogue between you and your person that implies that you are, in fact, married to each other. And this could be anything, so go nuts. but essentially you want to create that which you desire to experience, and you want to get rid of anything that you no longer desire to experience. It really does boil down to that. It always helps me to write it down. That way, when I go and get myself ready to play out my scene, my mind is not wandering all over the place. It's not necessary, it just helps. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. But either way, when you get ready for bed at night, before you go to sleep, when you are in that twilight, groggy, almost asleep stage, but you're still alert and you can still control your thoughts, this is also known as the state akin to sleep. When you get into that state, bring up your scene in your imagination and you're going to loop it. You're going to loop it, and every time you do, you're going to add as many tones of reality as you can muster. You want to try to get it as vivid and descriptive as possible, because what you're trying to do here is cement a new impression onto the subconscious, because, as we know, whatever is impressed on our subconscious must play out in our experience. We must experience whatever it is that is impressed. And you want to keep looping the scene until you start to feel the feelings that you would be feeling if you were in fact living that scene in real life, right there, right now. So this may take a couple of tries. This might not happen the first night. It might not happen the first several nights, and that's okay. The only important thing to note is to keep trying until you feel that satisfaction, that bliss, that warmth, that happiness. You will know that the seed has been planted, because once it has, you're gonna have a natural desire to drop it. You are no longer gonna want to fixate on this. You're no longer gonna be obsessing about it. You're no longer going to be spinning your wheels over it, because once it's planted, it's already done and it's already yours. And this can be another difficult aspect for some people, especially when there's such a strong emotional attachment when it comes to manifesting an ex or an old lover. It can be difficult for some people to imagine just being able to drop it. And let me clarify, dropping it does not mean forgetting about it. You don't have to forget about this person. Dropping it just means that the seed has been impressed onto the subconscious. The thing to note about that is your imaginal acts are just as real as your 3D world. And your imaginal acts also precede what you experience in your 3D world. So once it has been impressed onto your subconscious, you're going to naturally lose any of that obsessive thinking or that despair, any anxiety. It's going to go away, because when you have impressed onto your subconscious and you have received it in imagination, it's already yours. It's already done. There is nothing left that you need to do. In ways that we do not know and in ways that we could not understand, your subconscious will rearrange everything around you to bring you to whatever it is that you desire. And that's all there is to it. It really can be such a hang-up for a lot of people, and understandably so. When we're dealing with things that hold a lot of weight and we have a lot of attachment to, it can be particularly difficult. Hence why I wanted to make this video. I wanted to go a little bit more in depth and give you guys a couple extra steps, because these really are imperative when it comes to something of this magnitude. Whatever takes up space in your mind throughout your day is ultimately going to be what you experience and what plays out for you. So if you are trying to manifest an ex, just remember, use that self-observation during your day. Note what's going through your mind so you can determine the state that you are currently in. Use revision for anything that you no longer want to experience, anything that is less than ideal. You want to revise any old memories, old stories, bad situations, anything that you don't want. Revise it, get rid of it. And then thirdly, you want to construct that imaginal scene that implies that you have whatever it is that you want. So create that scene of you and your person where you are already married, things are blissful, things are beautiful, everything is just as perfect as you can possibly imagine. And keep persisting with that imaginal scene. Keep at it nightly until you feel that satisfaction and that knowing that the seed has been planted and there is nothing left to do. Always remember that you are God. Your consciousness is God. You are the creator. You determine whatever it is that you want to experience in this life. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, do not forget to give it a thumbs up. This helps trigger the YouTube algorithm so more people can see this content, and I would love for the word to get out as far and wide as possible. I'm telling you guys, this will change your life. And also do not forget to hit subscribe, hit that bell icon, so that way you're notified every time I put out new content, which is every Thursday through Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are interested in checking out any of my other resources, I will link my coaching website, my blog, and my social links down in the description box below. So definitely don't forget to check those out. And if you have any questions, if you have any comments, anything that you may want me to talk about in future videos, anything that you may want me to discuss more about manifesting an ex-back, just drop them down in the comments below. Also, be sure to check out these videos over here. They go into different topics on anything that you need to know about how to manifest whatever it is that you want. So until next time, you guys, take care, be well, and never forget how freaking powerful you truly are at manifesting.